Hey guys, welcome to the next N3 grammar video for the complete N3 video game textbook series. In this video, we're going to be covering HODO, HODO nai, IKURA TEMO, and ICHIDO ni. You will learn exactly how to use each piece of grammar with the help of numerous example sentences found from various different video games. This video is brought to you by all of the wonderful supporters on Patreon, so if you want to support the channel and help us keep growing, then consider joining us on Patreon and join the Game Gengo Discord community. So without further ado, let's get into the next 4 pieces of N3 grammar for the complete JLPT series.
お兄様はロラン兄様のことがお嫌いなのですね。
私は嫌えるほどあいつのことなど考えていないよ。
So here we have HODO, and this is used to express the extent or degree of some state or action. Often seen used kind of like to the extent that, like びっくりするほど大きい. To the extent or so much that you're surprised. HODO is often preceded by metaphors, idiomatic expressions, and expressions that describe exaggerated situations. It can be used with verbs in both their base form and their nai form, followed by HODO, as well as following e-adjectives and nouns. So, like we have here in triangle strategy,
私は嫌えるほどあいつのことなど考えていないよ。
I don't think about him enough to be able to hate him. We can see here that the character does not think of his brother enough to feel these feelings of hatred. This expresses the extent of his thinking, that he doesn't even feel hate because he thinks so little of him. So here, HODO is used to express that extent. Kiraeru HODO, the extent of being able to hate. Kangaite nai, I don't think of him. Let's take a closer look at some other examples to see how this is used.
そうか。大丈夫。安心していいよ。僕の周りにはいろんな経歴の人間が山ほどいるんでね。
俺は嘘が死ぬほど嫌いだ。
前に好きな人に騙されて死ぬほど辛い思いをしたんです。
廃山の老いぼれが出過ぎた真似をするな。お前は何者だ。これほどの憎しみを受けながら相手が誰かもわからぬほど悪行を重ねてきたか。16年、この日が来るのを16年待ち続けたぞ。なんとなくらせ。
人の死は残された者にとってその絆が強ければ強いほど、残された者が弱ければ弱いほど、痛いほど心を縛り付ける。
So we can see that HODO shows the extent of something, whether how many people there are, like a mountain amount of people, yama HODO, a very common expression to express having lots of something that's almost piled up like a mountain, shinu HODO, expressing that you could hate something or feel so terribly that you could die, and even in expressions like kore hodo no nikushimi, this much hatred. Here referring to a more abstract sense, but we can still see that HODO is used to express the extent or degree of a certain action or state.
私、伝えなきゃいけないことがある。私、ユキコが思ってるほど強くない。
So next we have the negative version of the previous piece of grammar here with HODO nai. And this means to not be as dun 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 as dun dun dun. And this HODO can come after nouns and verbs, which are then followed by either a verb or an adjective in the nai form. And we actually saw this used in some of the previous examples. So like for example here seen in this sentence. Eigo no bunpō wa Nihongo hodo muzukashiku arimasen. English grammar is not as difficult as Japanese grammar. As in, the extent of difficulty of English grammar is not as much as the extent of Japanese grammar's difficulty. So we can see that the thing that's being compared or contrasted to comes first, followed by HODO, and then how it's being contrasted we see here in the nai form. It's not difficult. So as for English grammar, comparing to Japanese, it's not as difficult. So like seen here in Persona 4, where Chie says that she's not as strong as Yukiko thinks she is, we can see the comparison that the extent that Yukiko thinks, Yukiko ga omotteiru hodo, I am not strong, tsuyoku nai. And so as you can see, the order of the translation in English is kind of flipped to what you might naturally be used to saying. To the extent that she thinks, I'm not strong. I'm not as strong as she thinks. Let's take a look at some further examples how hodo nai is used.
おいこら姉ちゃんわしに喧嘩売っとんのか売っとんのか
わざわざ見に来たけどスカウトするほどじゃないわね。じゃ失礼するわ。
どうしたの？
信用できるほど君を知らない。
どこまで知れば信用できるの？
いや、もう誰も信用できない。
もうさっきから何？幻覚見るほどおかしくなってないわよ。
貴様らは噂ほどとんでもない玉じゃなさそうだ。
So in all of these examples, whether not being as strong as someone thinks, not being enough to be worth recruiting, not knowing someone enough to trust them, not being crazy enough to be seeing hallucinations, or even that someone is not as big of a deal as they were rumored to be. All of these uses of hodo nai show that something is not to that certain extent. So this is just like the previous hodo, but just know that it can be used by itself, or it can be used with a nai form verb or adjective. Either way, you can see that hodo is used to show the extent of something.
母さんもあなたのことをずっと思ってた。母は父にいくら言われてもあなたの写真いつも持ち歩いていたもの。父さんかわいそうだった。
IKURA TEMO. This expression is exactly the same as the previous expression that we learnt, donnani temo, for no matter how much. However, this time it has a slightly stronger feeling of describing the number of times something is done, kind of like a no matter how many times, rather than simply no matter how much, like donnani temo does. However, it can be used in both ways. This is just that subtle feeling that it gives. Because ikura is often used when talking about the number of something. Like seen here in Policenauts, where we see the line, no matter how many times mum was told by dad. So we can see ikura coming before the action that's being modified, here with iu, to say. Then iu is put into the te form, followed by mo. So iu, to say, turns into ikura ittemo, no matter how many times I say. Or, like here seen in the passive form, ikura iwaretemo, no matter how many times someone is told. And we can see that this expresses that even if the first action happens, it has no effect on the result. No matter how many times her mother was told by her father, she still kept his photo on her. So let's take a look at some more examples to get a good feeling for this grammar point.
やっぱり本物かよ。クラスはファースト。いくらなんでもファーストってお前よ。
どういう意味かな、鈴木くん。いくらことが順調に進んでる言うても、一軍の将っちゅうのは兵に何より敵に姿を晒し続けてこそ部下も己の命を張る気になるっちゅうもんやないですか。
ち、まだ嫌がったか。チョコボ、2対1は不利だ。通路に逃げ込んで戦え。いくらお前が強くても複数の敵に囲まれたら戦いは一気に不利になる。通路で戦うのが基本だ。
いくらかかろうが金は払う。だが帝国軍兵士にはもっと剣が必要だ。
So, whether it's no matter how many times you say something, no matter how you look at something, no matter how much you say something is a certain way, no matter how strong you are, or even no matter how much something costs, we can see that IKURA TEMO is used to express no matter how much. One quick note about this final grammar point example that we see from Skyrim, IKURA Kakarot ga. This is a quite similar expression to IKURA kakattemo. It's just a different nuance here, seen in this fantasy setting. Rather than using the te form, we see the N1 grammar yoga, which means to have no relation to the thing that happened. Very similar to like we see in these other examples.
ヨシアがライムを連れて行ったのか？それになんで俺の名前を知ってるんだ？
そんな一度に質問しなくても、君の聞きたいことにはちゃんと答えるよ。
This next piece of grammar, ICHIDO ni, is used to express doing something or something occurring all at the same time. Like for example, if flowers were to bloom all at once, ichido ni hana ga saku. There's this feeling of all of these flowers just suddenly blooming at once. And so ichido ni is used to express doing something or something happening at one time or all at once. Just like seen here in Kingdom Hearts. Even if you don't ask all at once, I'll still answer your questions. So here, referring to the fact that Sora has asked him so many questions, question after question, all at once.
それで、ウーマの呪いを解くには？
ケイヤモルヘに連れて行くわ。あなたとウーマとローチを一度に瞬間移動できないの。だから。
馬で行く。瞬間移動は昔から苦手でね。
地球のドラゴンボールは一度に複数のものを生き返らせられるのだな。では寿命で死んだものを生き返るかね？
当面の目的は回覧通信をポートロットシティまでつなぐことだ。だが一度につなぐには距離が遠すぎる。
どんな戦況も有利に変えられるはずだ。
そんな一度に言われても覚えられないよ。封印が一度に2つ解けたみたいなのです。
Oh, lucky!
So, if we take a look at how ICHIDO ni was just used in all of these examples, to ask someone many questions all at once, to teleport everyone together all at once, to bring back several people to life all at once with the Dragonballs, to connect all the points together at the same time all at once, to remember all of this information all at once, and finally for two seals to get broken all at the same time, all at once. All of these examples, we can see that an action or a phrase, when following ICHIDO ni, expresses that that thing was done all at the same time. And there we have the next 4 grammar points for the JLPT N3. I hope some of these examples helped you get a stronger connection to how this language is used, and perhaps even help you remember the grammar a little bit better. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. A huge thank you to all the supporters on Patreon. If you like this kind of video, consider joining us on Patreon and come join us on the Game Gengo Discord community where we learn Japanese together, hang out, chat, just have fun with like-minded people. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya.